Yo, welcome to the Man Space Podcast, where we are redefining manhood. I'm your host, Kyle Torrey. Listen, this podcast is for men and by men. Yeah, for men and by men. But listen, ladies, that does not mean that this podcast is not for you. This is an opportunity for you to peer in, to listen in, so you can better understand what men are dealing with, how men are thinking, things that they're wrestling with day to day. But today, men, we are going to be talking about mental and emotional health. Yeah, I know that word is taboo. I know this topic is taboo. This is not something as men that we feel comfortable talking about or dealing with. We have people in our culture who've kind of led the way to kind of change the narrative, though, like Charlamagne the guy with the Breakfast Club. He has talked about his own personal experience and him going to counseling. And even though he's talked about it, and even though it's become kind of a buzzword in our culture, men today still are not dealing with their mental and emotional health. Yeah, they're still not talking about it. It's still taboo in our circles. Because here's a question I'm going to throw out to all men. Listen, every day you're dealing with stress. We've talked about it. Every day you're dealing with pressures. Every day you got issues that you've dealt with on your job, or things you're dealing with in your marriage, or things you're dealing with your kids, or financial issues. My question to you right now is, who knows about it? Yeah, who knows what you're wrestling with? Who are you talking to about that? You know, the thoughts that you have when you're driving in your car. Yeah, those thoughts that you have when the family is tucked away in their sleep and you just sitting on a couch. Who knows what's going on in your mind? Who knows what you're carrying and why you might have a bad attitude, or why you're frustrated, or why you're not smiling or laughing some days? Like, who are you sharing that with? I'm going to be honest, even for myself. Mental health is not, and emotional health is not something that I've always been comfortable talking about. And that's crazy, because I have a mother who's a therapist. I have a wife who's a therapist. But still in my mind, I did not believe, even in my 20s, going into my 30s, I did not believe that counseling was a manly thing. It was not the thing to do as a man, which is crazy, right? But here's the thing. I don't think as men, we talk enough about the reality of the problem. Right? We all know we got pressures. We all know that we're carrying a lot. But let me read you a few statistics that I think will help this to land home, to show you how much of a priority it should be for us to talk to somebody. First thing that kind of jumped out at me as I was looking over stats and kind of doing some research and thinking about this is that, did you know that over 6 million men every year are diagnosed with clinical depression? 6 million men experience depression throughout the year. Did you know that men are more likely to die by suicide? Out of every 100,000 men, 22 will kill themselves, comparable to only 6 women who will do the same. That means for men, we're 4 times more likely to harm ourselves, to check out of here. Why? Because we are not dealing with our emotions. We're not dealing with the weight that we're carrying. And what's sad to me is most of the time when men take their life, the folks around them have no clue what was going on. They were like, he was just laughing. He was just smiling the other day. But that's because we're so good at hiding how we feel. How is that helping us? Yeah, another study talks about how men are more likely to deal with coping mechanisms versus actually going and getting the help that they need. But why is that? Yeah, we're going to deal with the why today. Why is that? Why, as a man, do I not feel comfortable sharing my emotional weight? Well, let's deal with the reality of what we've seen. I talk about it all the time. Growing up, that was not something that we saw from men. It wasn't in our TV shows. It wasn't in our music. Matter of fact, the only pictures that we saw for men to deal with emotions, it was either pointed towards sex or pointed towards violence. Those are the only 2 options for us. Yeah, we had nothing telling us how to deal with our emotional stress and our emotional well-being besides toxic behavior. And that's why as we got older, that's what you see. You see men who are hyper-aggressive. And you see men going out here trying to sleep with every woman they can find, because that is a coping mechanism, trying to make themselves feel better. And then you got women out here wondering what's wrong with us, why we're not engaging in healthy emotional ways. Well, it's because we only really have 2 avenues that we've been taught on how to deal with what we're wrestling with. Listen, carrying this weight does not serve us well. It's killing our relationships. It's killing us physically. Stress leads to, the leading causes of death for men is heart issues. One of the main contributors to heart issues is not only bad eating, which is something else we do when we stressed out, but one of the other leading causes for heart issues is stress. So it's not serving us well, not dealing with this in a healthy way. And it's funny because as men, here's the thing. If something wrong with our car, what will we do? We'll go to a mechanic, right? If something's wrong with our teeth, we'll go to a dentist. Right? If something's wrong, even with our own physical health, we'll go to a doctor. But when it comes to our mind and our emotions, we won't go talk to a person who's a professional to help us get healthy, to fix the problem. We have to use the same logic that we use with everything else when it comes to our mental health, and we have to prioritize it because it's killing us. Yeah, because your girl know you're stressed out. Your children know you're stressed out. They might not label it stress, but they know something's wrong. Your mom probably can tell that something's wrong when you talk to her on the phone, when you go over her house and you sit down with her. Yeah, when your mom say, "What's wrong, baby?" Like, it seems like something's going on. And you be like, "Oh, I'm all right. I'm cool." One of the worst things a man can say is, "I'm cool," because we not. We need to get that out of our vocabulary. We actually have to learn how to communicate. One thing my therapist has helped me was to be able to communicate what I'm actually feeling. We use "I'm cool" to mask what's really going on the inside. That means if you're sad, being able to say, "You know what, I'm kind of down right now." That means if you're stressed out, being able to say, "You know what, I had a hard day at work and I'm really, really feeling stressed." Yeah, that means if you feel insecure, being able to say, "I'm dealing with fear because I got some decisions I need to make." So that's my first solution today, is stop saying you cool when you not. Yeah, the next thing that I want to deal with is like, how do we get help? Who's in your life? What other man is in your life who you could pick up the phone and actually communicate how you are doing? That you could just be completely raw with. That you could tell them the mistakes that you made. I had a friend who called me the other day. We were having a conversation. He said, "Man, I just need to tell you something, man. I just need to get this out. Bro, I did something horrible." He said, "Don't judge me." I told him I'm not. Because that judgment will keep you from telling me all the things that you're dealing with so I can enter into the situation and help you get out of it. But if we're keeping it bottled up and we don't have no men around us who we trust, who we can have that conversation with, then we'll keep it in and we'll continue on with the same destructive behavior. And if you don't have that relationship in your life right now, then my encouragement to you is to go try to find it. Men have to start practicing being a safe space for one another, because not every man is going to go out and talk to a stranger about what they're dealing with. But for those of us who are willing, just like you go and find a doctor, just like you go and find a dentist, just like you go and find a mechanic, we need to be able to ask around from people you trust who maybe already have a therapist or know something about therapy, or maybe there's a counselor in your family, to be able to ask them, "Hey, can you provide me a referral of somebody I can sit down with and talk to? Because I'm carrying some things." And I'm telling you, if anybody around you has been to therapy, they know the value in it. Therefore, they will go out of their way to help you. Because here's the reality, we all need it. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. We all need it. The only difference is that women tend to go get it. Men don't. But we got to change that. So yeah, you reach out to a therapist. You ask to sit down with them. And then when you sit down with them, and I'm going to be honest, not every person you meet with the first time is going to be the right person for you. It might be 2 or 3 people. Just like a mechanic, you work with one mechanic and it might not be a comfortable situation. So you take your car somewhere else for a second opinion. You might have to do that. But if you need me to build more value for you, let me say this. There will be no other place in life where for an hour, the only focus from the person sitting across from you is to make sure that you're okay. Yeah. It's the only time in your life where you are having somebody where their only focus is you and making sure you okay. Where else you getting that? You ain't getting it at work. Even in our relationships with our spouses or with our girlfriends, it's too much other things that are attached to it. It's not a fully free space. Even when you're talking to your boys, there's history there. Why not go to an expert that their only focus is making sure you are all right? That you walk out of that door better than what you were before you walked in. a space where you can deal with your trauma, a space where you can deal with your deepest, darkest secret that's been haunting you for your entire life. The space where you can talk about your failures, the space that you can talk about your insecurities. Where else can you lay down all those things and have somebody, you can go in there broken and the focus of that person is just building you back up. And to try to make you better for your spouse, trying to make you better for your kids, trying to make you better for your job. Nowhere else in life do we get that. Here's the reality, man. We got to get healthy. We're carrying too much. We got to lighten the load. We are not built to carry the loads that we're carrying. So why not get help? And getting counseling, getting therapy is a free space, and it is a space where you can find so much healing. Thank God for it. I thank God every day for my counselor. I go see my counselor every week. It's on the agenda. And I look forward to it because I get an opportunity to just be myself with no other strings attached. Listen, we can't keep carrying anger and fear and insecurity and then laying that at the feet of our families because we're not actually telling them what's going on. We're just reacting to how we feel. And normally that reaction is devastating. It's hurtful. It's confusing to those around us. Even myself. I'm one person, man, I'm an extreme extrovert. Everybody know I'm always the life of the party. I'm always talking, or I got tons of friends. But man, about 2 years ago, I was in a very dark space. I had never felt like that before. It was so foreign to me because I'm always happy. I'm always a person who can find something to do to make myself feel better. I've spent my whole life, as my counselors helped me to see, I've spent my whole life running to things to make myself feel better so that I don't have to deal with the reality and the trauma that was going on in my life. And so a couple years ago, that caught up with me. No matter what I did to try to make myself feel better, it did not change my mood. I was down because of the things that was going on with my job and around the home and just different things that just was stressors for me. Just seemed like nothing was working out. I was carrying this weight and probably everybody around me probably thought I was cool because that's Kyle. But I was dying inside. But thank God I went and sat down with my therapist and he helped to pull me out of that space, made me deal with some hard things, some things I didn't even realize was going on in my mind, certain things that I hadn't dealt with from my past. And man, it pulled me out. No, it wasn't overnight, but man, we met for a certain amount of time and eventually, man, I started feeling better. It pulled me out of that dark space so I can understand where people can get to. You can look at people down your nose and feel like, man, that could never be me. But here's the reality. You don't know what you will do 6 months from now because you don't know what your life might throw at you. Life will life. And the reality is we not all built to handle what life throw at us. So we need help. So listen, man, put that weight down. Prioritize your health. Episode 4. I'm out.